Welcome to Philly Fortune Talks with your host, Jake Penny, where the city's brightest minds share the secrets behind their success. Are you ready to be inspired?
What do pickles, parties, and print design have in common? Today's guest, Anthony Cataldi, is here to tell us. As the owner of Studio 27 Print and Design and co-founder of the Big Dill, the world's largest pickle party, Anthony has built a unique and successful career by blending creativity, business strategies, and innovation. With over 20 years of professional experience, he has mastered the art of standing out in the crowd. Join us as we explore Anthony's journey, his insights on building a brand, and how he's made a mark in two very different industries. It's a pleasure to have you on Philly Fortune Talks, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. So you've built Studio 27 Print and Design, and you're the co-founder of the Big Deal, the world's largest pickle party. Can you share, the inspiration behind starting these two very different ventures?
Yeah,
With it's a little bit of the same too.
it's actually a fun story I like to tell a lot because from the beginning, I've been an artist. I've been an artist my whole life. Even from when I was younger, people were like, you're going to be an artist. That's what I was, I was drawing. I was in all the art classes. And then it's funny, as I got older and I learned finance and I learned money, there wasn't a lot of money in just like painting pictures and stuff. You actually had to turn it into a career. And in the process of that, I actually got a job doing sales and marketing, and that's what I went to college for. And then I taught myself some of the art programs, and I started working as a mortgage finance loan officer. And I knew that I had the background of design, so I started to just mess around with some of the programs. This was probably about 2005 and 2006. So we're looking at almost 20 years ago. And I made my own business cards. I designed them and, did my own little thing to them. And I started handing out business cards as a mortgage loan officer. And people were like, where did you get your cards from? And I was like, well, I made them myself. So then my boss was like, listen, he's like, if I pay you, can you make these cards for the entire office? And I said, sure. So after that, another company shared offices with us, and they saw all the artwork and they were like, who does all your printing? And they're like, our loan officer, Anthony, does it. So they're like, can we pay him? And I'm like, oh, so this light bulb goes off and I'm like, here's a business that involves everything that I love to do that I could actually make money and start a career. So that was where the light bulb went off. And I started doing all the printing and the marketing for the mortgage companies. And then I was a DJ for a really long time. So I knew people in the nightclub industry, got to do restaurants and bars and all their marketing. And I just got to meet so many cool people. And that's kind of how Studio kind of birthed into what it is now. Now, in the process of that, I met a guy named Kevin Baxter, and he was a club promoter for the nightclubs. So we kind of he hired me to do a lot of the artwork for a lot of the clubs and all that stuff. And later, 5 to 10 years later, after working with him for so long, he was like, listen, I want to open up a digital marketing agency. And I want you to be the creative guy. And we're going to do this, and we're going to have different events. We're going to do all this crazy stuff. And so before COVID, back in 2015, we got an office in Center City, right off of Walnut, right across from Tiffany's. It was really a prime location. And we were there. We actually had our first event that they came up with was the Cheesesteak Festival in Philadelphia. And that was an incredible event. I was so excited to be a part of the branding. I got to do because everybody was going to go to this event. And sure enough, it was a success. And as far as attendance, we had 27,000 people buy tickets. It was just unreal. The only problem with that was our first time ever throwing that size of an event, not actually having the backing on to handle 27,000 people. I mean, we were getting death threats.
Oh shit.
It was really, really crazy. And then, so in that transaction, we had a partner who put a lot of money in for the event, but he was just an investor. And unfortunately, he wanted to do another event after this one, and we had some legality issues. So we couldn't throw the festival because the trademark and all this other stuff, he would have to change the name. So we kind of were like left, like kind of like twiddling our fingers, like, what do we do next? And we did some research, and a lot of positive information came back about pickles. And, 90% women like pickles, pregnant women like pickles, all kinds of different people like pickles. It's just something that it's either you love them or you hate them. So it's like, if it was going to divide it right down 50-50, I mean, the other 50% is a pretty big number. So we're like, all right, so we'll just advertise to those people. So in 2018, we got to throw our first pickle festival. It was called Pickledelphia. And it was we limited it to about 5,000 people because we wanted to keep it small. And it was great. And we were like, now what's next? And they were like, well, we can't go to any other city. We want to go to different cities. Let's take this nationwide. So we actually were able to snag the Big Dill as a name. Trademark, it was available. We created the logo, and bigdill.com was available. We purchased it at a very low rate. So, I mean, everything was working out that this could be a success. So we threw the festival in 2018, and we locked it in Baltimore. So that we do it at Power Plant Live, which is the live brand. So like Xfinity Live, and there's multiple other different cities around the whole country that are all under the live brand. So they love this event. So they basically wanted it at all their locations. Like, and that's like, that's the name of the game. That's the plan. But obviously throwing these festivals are so crazy. They take almost 3 months of branding and preparation. My girlfriend Aubrey runs the vendor coordinating, and she basically deals with every single vendor. She has to walk the vendors, by the hand up until the day of the event. Even coming down to when they show up to bring their trailers and stuff. I mean, it's nuts. Something that me personally, want nothing to do with.
Right.
Like, I'm the design guy. So like the banners you see everywhere, the mascot was created by me, the artwork, the logo, a lot of that stuff. So a little like the imagery and the branding is me. So I put that together. And a funny story is I actually play the mascot. So I actually
That's right up your alley.
yeah. So like something that I like, and me, that I love to dress up and have fun. So we were literally paying a guy, $500 to $1,000 to show up at the event to dress around and dance around. And I'm just like, I love this.
Dressing up and dancing, that's you.
I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And, and it's crazy because it evolves so much that we even got his own theme song. So Dilly is the mascot. He has his own theme song. And it's crazy. And it just to give you a rundown of what the event is, I mean, it has everything from a pickle festival. So you have all your vendors. And then you also have all different food trucks. And then you have multiple different vendors there that not just pickles, but they have all different kinds of other food. And then we have bands, we have DJs, we have basically a host that is basically on I've tried to explain it to so many people, and it's almost like, think like a game day desk. So think if you go to Thursday night football and you got your 4 football players that are on this stage behind this big desk, and there's a screen, and they're all talking on a microphone about like the event, kind of like, and you're watching it because you're like, it's just like a news show. So we literally have a platform with a huge desk that has the Big Dill logo on it. And we have this guy in a pink blazer with pickles all over it. And he's got these big pickle glasses, and he's got this microphone, and each vendor gets like a little spotlight. They come up and they talk about their pickles and they talk about their stuff. So like, and it's like an 8-hour day. It's from 11 a.m. to about 7:30 p.m. And that's kind of when it wraps out. And we have something we call a pickle rave, which is a 45 minute to an hour DJ set where we bring in a pretty big DJ, and they do, rave for an hour of good dance music. And we have a crowd of like 5,000 people and we have all our staff on stage blow up pickles, blow up aliens, alligators, neon glow sticks, and hats, cowboy hats that are green with neon lights everywhere. And we're just shooting t-shirts out of guns. And it's like you're at this crazy party. You're just like, what is going on? And we have people pouring pickle shots and people's in the front row, like they're like, at some crazy party. And then we have a pickle eating contest. We have a brine chug contest. And it's just awesome, dude. It's something that you just have to experience. It's one of those events that I've told even some of my best friends. I've told them about coming, and you know how friends are. They just don't ever show up sometimes because they got their own thing going on. But I got some of my friends to finally get to this event, and they were just like, I am never missing another one. They were like, this was the most fun I had in so long. And it's kind of like, you want to give them like, I told you so moment, but you don't really want to be that guy. You're just like, see, like I told you, like you got to experience this. So that's the best way I can put it, is like, it's just something like there's so many different festivals out there, but the team that we put together that all have this unique passion for this, we're not in it just for the money. Like it's at this point where we break even sometimes for some of the stuff that we have to expense on. I mean, we have a 30-foot blimp that goes above an arch, and it's literally like, it says the Big Dill, and it's on a gigantic pickle. Now I'm talking, the pickle has got to be, if you were walking into Xfinity, like think of like, you've been to Xfinity, right?
Yeah.
So, like the walkway, that's like the brick walkway, the up to the stage. Imagine a gigantic arch that's huge, that has a gigantic pickle on it, like in the sky, like it's going to fly away, like a huge, like I'm talking like a blimp. And it's like stuff like that. Like you would just like that thing alone costs 15 grand. And
Wow.
all it is just an entryway for you to walk in and out of. And so like those kind of things, like we literally are trying to create a Disney World themed kind of experience for the love of pickles. So you have everything that you would do at like a Disney World, but like, and food, but it's all pickles. And then you have, instead of Mickey, you have Dilly, and Dilly is, him and all his character, and he has his dance, and he's there for the contests and all that stuff. And it's just something that like, I'm actually so excited to be a part of, to be honest. Like, it's really cool.
So how did you approach scaling the Big Dill, and what challenges did you face turning it into a massive event, obviously all over the place?
So obviously, like getting the connections with live was like the first step to actually trying to scale this thing. Because at one point, like, could we throw this in a location just with like a big area? Yeah. But the challenge with that would be that us bringing in all of our own pieces, the bars, the staging, and all the other stuff. Working with Live Brand, they actually have a lot of that access. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier. Plus, we're bringing in, 5,000 to 6,000 people into their location for a couple hours. And it's something.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. So we work out a great deal. So working out a great connection with the Live Brand was probably the number one strategic move that my partners made with that. And as far as like, what was the next question you asked me?
Like, what challenges did you face?
So obviously what I'm noticing as we grow, the main challenge is limiting the amount of actual tickets that we sell, because obviously a lot of the money that comes in from the events is tickets. I mean, because it's a numbers game. The more numbers, the more happens. And what we have been having to do is we kind of have to like kind of sell them out, because we don't want to have it too many. And then we have the challenges of now we have people that are contacting us that want tickets that can't get tickets. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a good problem to
Right.
have in
It's a
a way.
good problem to have.
But I mean, it's crazy, man. Like we do go above and beyond for this brand. Like even to give you an example, we had our call yesterday just to kind of go over some things about like some things that might have, we have to fix things that, and he's like, my partner basically said, he said, we only had one complaint about Dilly. And that was like the main thing. And I got taken back because I have passion for Dilly. I do my character. It's what it is. And he said, apparently there was a 2-year-old girl that was trying to get my attention and I didn't see her.
Mm.
And I walked away from her and she cried. And it got to the point where the guy went to my partner to tell him that was a major problem. And listen, at the end of the day, I didn't see her. So it wasn't that. So my partner got her address, got his address. I'm going to go to their house in Maryland as Dilly to drop off a merch bag,
Nice.
to kind of be like, and spend about 10, 15 minutes with her and take some pictures and all that good stuff just to make it right. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of brand we're trying to build here with like the whole community of pickles. And it's crazy because online we have a Facebook forum community called I Love Pickles. And we utilize that to digitally market to whoever we need to, like the Big Dill, anything pickle related. And that literally alone has almost 500,000 followers on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah. And our Instagram is just about at 100,000. And that's all organic. So it's not something like we did this all strategically through the analytics of Facebook and Instagram and when to post, what to post. We got down to like everything that you would have as a news outlet, we would basically kind of mimic into pickles. So like when the eclipse happened, we put out pictures of the eclipse, but it was a gigantic pickle covering the moon, not Earth. You know what I mean? Like, and people were going crazy about that. Like, but it all comes down to the Big Dill. So it's all just kind of like a funnel, like a pickle funnel down to this event.
Is there a future where the Big Dill has their own pickle brand?
Yes. Yep. So that's actually like where we really want the brand to go. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we all don't want to do this forever. Like at
Right.
least to the point where we're at a point right now where we're hiring people to do what we've been doing for the last 5 years. So it's like, put this here, hang this here. This all has to go here. Like stuff that we've been doing. We're trying to like outsource to bringing in a new staff, bring in the Big Dill. So then we can utilize that to go bigger. And one of our main things is like, we have all these pickle creators and all these pickle makers. We're just looking for the right kind of partnership to get that thing because it's insane. Even just to give you an idea, like every single vendor gave us a sample of stuff to take home. So me and my girlfriend would just, oh, this one. Oh, look at this one. Oh, everything bagel pickle. Oh, this is great. And then I got,
Damn.
dude, it's crazy. A habanero pickle, like, and just all these different pickle flavors. A ranch pickle, like you'd never think of some of these flavors. And it's just one of those things, like a craft beer, like anything that, like if you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're
Right.
not. But the best part about that as a business, 50-50. I mean, it's a really big number.
Oh, for sure. I know what your meal preps looked like for the past couple months.
Hey, dude, pickles are no calories, my man. No calories. I used to chop up pickles and put them on top of some beef and rice
There
and
you
just
go,
mix
dude.
it up, put a little bit of ketchup. It tastes like a hamburger. It literally tastes
Yeah.
straight up like
Hey,
a hamburger.
hamburger in a bowl, man.
Yeah, man. I did that all the time.
For Studio 27 Print and Design, you've been that business has been highly successful for a number of years in a competitive market. What key strategies have you used to differentiate yourself from other brands in the industry? I know obviously you guys do amazing work, but also, there's like a culture behind it or something for you.
Mhm.
It's massively successful.
Well, thank you. Well, so when people usually ask me that, I usually always come to the same answer. And I think it's just because of what I've seen in the industry. is one, I myself alone I have a really big passion for artwork and design, and I have like that eye, and I have a photographic memory, and God gave me that. And that's something that I noticed with a lot of my talent. And then obviously learning sales, learning that the relationship is the most important part with a client, um, not just making money. Like my
Hmm.
relationship with you and my clients is more important than how much I'm making, because the relationship is what lasts. So I've stemmed my business to live like that, through each and every client that I talk to. And I think that kind of sets me apart from a lot of the other design companies out there, because a lot of the times you're either dealing with one or the other. So you'll get a really good artist, that doesn't necessarily have the business aspects behind it.
Right.
So then you're dealing with the guy who's great that might not answer, might take 3 weeks to get back to you. And then on the other hand, you'll have somebody who's amazing, who has a great business, but they have like some bad artists that really aren't as good as you really want them to be. Like like a company that just prints all kinds of stuff. They just have a line of artists. So for me, I look at my niche is the fact that I do both, and I handle both pretty well. And I handle both pretty well at a pretty good time frame. So it gets people what they need and the amount of time that they need it. And I think it just sets me apart. So I think that's kind of the answer I would go with that.
Okay. You lead two different businesses, and that requires strong leadership for sure, right? Running one company requires a lot of leadership. How do you ensure your teams at Studio 27 Print and Design and also the Big Dill stay motivated and aligned to your greater purpose as companies and the vision?
So fortunately for me, for the Big Deal, I don't necessarily have to do right now the everyday uh, analytics. It's kind of like the design stuff is like what we do is we have like a schedule on what we need when we need it. And obviously Dilly, I have my own schedule with him. If I have to need to be somewhere, um, I'll do that. So that kind of really helps me create a great time frame to have my own schedule for studio. So studio takes more scheduling than the Big Deal right now. The only thing is the Big Deal takes priority over studio, like during the Big Deal. So it's like the Big Deal was this past weekend. It was September 21st, this Saturday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, studio was almost taking a back seat, because the fact that I had to put all this time into the Big Deal when I needed to put time in. So like, fortunately, I get to be able to put time into each of the businesses when I need to put my time into them. So it kind of works out to I guess the best way that it would work out for me, to be
Right.
honest. It's exactly how I would want it to be laid out, because if it was anything more and the Big Deal required more of my attention, um, I don't actually know how I'll handle it, because I don't know how burned out I will be, because there's been times where I worked a lot harder than I'm working right now and I was able to do it. But I'm also at a point where it's like, it's tough to like really work hard, like to the point where you're getting so exhausted. So I kind of
Right.
try to find that balance in life now. And the way it's structured now, where I don't have to have my time completely sold into each of the businesses. But studio probably takes about, I would say, 70 to 80%. And then there's the 20% that I really have to give to the Big Deal. So
Hmm.
if that kind of like helps it out, like explain it a little bit.
Yeah, just integration, really.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in integration. I don't believe in so much in balance in life. I believe in integration in life because for people like ourselves, we're entrepreneurs. We run our companies, we're involved in many different aspects. It's like work and life is they go hand in hand. Life is business, business is life. So it's
Yeah.
like you have to learn how to integrate. The people that try to balance everything, I think it's like they're like just chasing a dead end, because I don't think there is such thing as balance. Because to be balanced, you totally have to cut one off, right? And
Hmm.
serve the other. Whereas integration, if you learn how to integrate them together, it's free flowing.
Yeah, I mean, just going off of that, it's when you're in prep, you integrate a cheat meal. It's, you know what I mean? It's not necessarily,
Is it a
it's not
pickle?
balanced because you're not eating, six and a, or three and a half cheat meals and then three and a half good meals. You're literally just integrating the one meal to give yourself that balance.
Yeah,
You
right,
think.
right. So with over 20 years of entrepreneurship, what leadership lessons have you learned that you believe are crucial for aspiring entrepreneurs?
I would say going back to what I just was talking about, which I find is probably one of the most important aspects in a business is the relationship. And that means with the boss, with your coworkers. It's the energy that's literally in the room, and the room
Mhm.
could be over the phone, wherever it is. Like, and it really does impact the business to a point where it's noticeable. Um, and like I'm a firm believer in God. I believe in energy. I believe in all that. And relationships with clients and everything is probably the most important aspect because I see it even in my everyday life with my clients now, and just having conversations with them. If I'm not in the correct energy and or something could affect the relationship, you can see everything kind of spiral. And if a client is knowing that they're getting taken care of, whether or not there's a problem or not, they have that trust and that faith in you to continue to work with you. So, because what happens if there's a lack of relationship between you and a client or customer or whatever, you and the rest of your clients for your business, you're going to find yourself literally getting a desperate feeling for business to where because and I've seen it in my own business, because if for some reason I might be personally going through something where I can't attend to my business the way I normally would, or answer people the way I normally would, get back to people as fast as I could, because we all go through things. So I
Right.
might go through something in the moment. And then when that happens, I can see the trickle down effect. I watch it. And then it comes down to me I have to go that next step to fix that relationship, because the relationship between me and my client wasn't necessarily in the best energy. So I would say that's probably number one. And I think if that is something that everybody, as far as you're getting into the new businesses and you're becoming a new entrepreneur, if you strategically work your business into making good relationships, I think everything will fall into place. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just, for simplicity, people over process profits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and relationships are people. The byproduct of a good business is profits, but without people, there's no business, there's no profit. So
Exactly.
putting people first and relationships first and valuing your customers, clients, whatever that may be, is super important
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because they're the ones that keep the lights on.
Listen, and I said, like, as I got closer to God and I built a relationship with God and I started to do that, I started to learn the gratitude with things. I learned, like, I mean, we've heard the word gratitude our whole lives, but did we really understand what it really meant? And
Hmm.
for me, as I got to learn gratitude, when a client gets something from me and they're like, thanks, I'm like, no, thank you, because you're supporting me, man. I appreciate
Right.
you continuing supporting me. You're calling me because you need something, and I'm happy to do it. So like I have a little bit more like that attitude with each and every client, and I can feel it. It's something that's deep in my heart that I feel as a very positive thing. And I love to show gratitude. So yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned God. I just recently ordered the book of Proverbs. And I think um it's like the men's Bible or something like that. It breaks the original Testament into like new common, like newer language, right? So
Hmm.
it's more digestible in common, you know, English language talk instead of like, the Old Testament. So I'm really excited to read that. I've always had it on my bucket list to read the Bible, but never actually started doing it because it was just like a hard read. It's like
Mhm.
reading Macbeth back in high school, right? It's
Yeah.
like, thou shalt, la, la, la. It's like, what did you just say?
That's probably the number one thing that I would consider the hardest thing about the Bible is the way it's written. Because it was
Yeah.
rewritten so many different times in so many different languages to make people understand. So like it's like you never know which one to read. So because you read, me and my girlfriend both read the Bible every day. We get up every morning and read some scripture. It's great for the mind, but she reads a different version than me. And it's been a
Mm.
couple times that we like would read the same out loud to each other, and some of her words were a little different, but it literally said the same thing. It was just a little
Okay.
different. So it's fun, but yeah, dude, like learning the Bible for me is something, it's fun because I get to learn a lot of the stories. And what's funny is a lot of the stories are everything that really happens today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's literally the same.
A lot of the high performing men that I know, high achievers, high performers, they read the Bible every single day, and it's just like they swear by it. It's helped them become a better person, a better business person, a better significant other, everything under the sun. Because it's just like it teaches you how to go through life with like everyday life experiences, how to overcome them, how to, get through the other side. So yeah, that's
What's
awesome.
funny, how have you always been, are you Catholic or Christian?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm born and raised Catholic. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so I was born and raised Catholic my whole life, and then I kind of stopped going to church.
Yeah.
Probably when I was like maybe like mid-teens, I think I like because I hated it. I I
Right.
I I hated it. Like my mom would drop me off at CCD on a Monday night. And I
Hmm.
was like, I hate this. And then I grew up, and I think what happens is now what I've learned is I went through a lot of crazy times, stuff that puts you down to the rock bottom of life. And I had a friend of mine who moved into my complex. Like, this is crazy how God works. I'll show you how this trickle down how this worked, how I got into it. So I go to the gym every day, and I saw this guy, Alex, that goes to the gym every day. And we said hi to each other. And he said, "You live in King of Prussia, right?" And I said, "Yeah. What complex do you live in?" Oh, and I told him. And he's like, "All right, I'm going to go check it out." He's like, "If I get there, I'll tell them that, you referred me." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So, months later, he's like, "I'm moving into your complex." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So all of a sudden I got a free rent month. They gave me
Oh shit.
a free rent. It was 2 grand. I got
Damn.
a free month off and all this stuff. So I was like, this is awesome. And sure enough, he moves 3 doors down from me in the same hallway.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is awesome. And one day, I guess I was going through a lot of stuff. So he was really close with me. He talked to me. So when I was like having my nights of depression, he would talk to me. He said, "Why don't you come to church?" And I was like, "Nah, it's not for me." And he's like, "You should just come and see, man. It'll teach you a lot." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I was Catholic." And just like the same response anybody else would give you nowadays. Like,
Right.
I believe in God, maybe. And then so the next week I was really it got even worse. So I called him, and he was like, "I'm out going bowling." He's like, "You should come." And I was like, "Oh, who you going with?" He's like, "Me and my church friends." And then I even got cringed off of that. I was like,
Mm.
I don't know if I want to go hang out with all these church people that are all about God. I didn't really want it. I was like, it's not something I really, not really, man. And then he heard me crying one night, and he literally came in and we talked, and I was like, all right, I'll come. And I went to church, and it was the coolest church I ever been to. It was so cool. Like, and I cried so hard that I was so embarrassed because I looked at the ground and there was like a puddle. It just was streaming down my face. So I started to Google why you cry in church. And they were like, well, that's when the Holy Spirit speaks to you. It's like an
Mm.
uncontrollable feeling that because you have the shame, you have the guilt, all the problems come arise, and you get to have all these thoughts in a conversation with God that you don't even know you're having. And that's what the tears are. And that's uncontrollable. And dude, for weeks, it was crying and crying. And then all of a sudden I met so many different people. I got rebaptized. And me and my girlfriend, she basically came with me. She went to church. She got baptized. We volunteer at the church. We met so many different people. I've gotten so many different friends of mine to come with me to church. They came with me. My life turned around. The depression went away. Um, and that's really the only difference, you know? And so that's why I could see it's like, it's really hard for some people to see, you know, what the Bible teaches you. But when you really get into it, you understand it, but you have to actually have the faith to want to. That's the problem. If
Right.
God knows your heart, if you're like just going to just read the Bible and you're like, this doesn't make sense, he knows your heart. So if you're like literally in the Bible and you're like, I just want to understand this because I need to, you'll eventually get this some kind of understanding from somewhere where you do not know where it came from, but you'll be able to read the scripture and be like, this is a cool story. Because that's what I do now. I enjoy reading the Bible because I enjoy the stories. I enjoy
Mm.
learning about what's going on. And then when I go to church and my pastor's talking about it, I'm like, I know this. I read this. And then me and my girlfriend are like, oh, remember that? That's just crazy.
We did our homework.
Yeah, we did our homework. Yeah, dude. But anybody I say, and like God is love, man. So if it ain't love, it's not God. So if it's something in your life, something you're going through, some guilt you have in your stomach, the relationship you have with someone else, if it ain't love, if your decision or wherever you're coming from is not a love, then it's coming from somewhere else. And that's easy. That's a simple, it's as simple as it gets.
Yeah. So, I mean, this podcast is for like the greater Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people think, or a lot of people stop going to church because they feel like it's a chore, or it's, takes up their day on a Sunday. It's not fun, it's boring, whatever it may be. But you found a church in Phoenixville, PA, right?
Yeah.
Phoenixville?
Journey. Yeah.
That totally obliterates all those limiting beliefs on church. Now, what's that church called?
It's called Journey, JRNY Church, and it's in Phoenixville. It's run by Steve Dufresne. He's a great pastor. He's only 43 years old, very young guy. Um, and I'll tell you, have you ever watched like a TED Talk?
Hmm.
You know, like where it's like a little bit more of a conversation and you really get into the problem. That's exactly how my church would be as far as like the structure of the day. So like, there's the band, you have the music and the worship, which is like a theater. Like I feel like I should pay tickets to go to church. If that makes sense, if that gives you any idea of how the theater and the production is for this church that I go to, which a lot of churches are like that, which is awesome. But, just mine in particular, I feel like I should pay because and that's why I think it's so important that they have so many volunteers, because they have all these people that are volunteering. They have video guys, they have guys running lights, they have guys that are running they have a children's wing, there's a teen wing, there's people that are running the outside desks, there's people that are running the parking lots, that are parking people. It's nuts, man. It's something that if you get to experience and come check this out on a Sunday, it's something that I look forward to every week. And it's literally, you get to have a conversation with God and some good conversation, and you feel good. And I do that every Sunday, any Sunday I can.
No, awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing that for the
Yeah,
listeners.
man.
As we wrap this up here, for people that want to learn more about Studio 27 print and design, maybe they have something that needs to be, designed for marketing or whatever that may be. If they want to go to the biggest pickle fest in the world, the Big Dill, or maybe they just want to find their journey back to God, where's what's the best place for them to go to on all three of those notes?
So, as far as the studio, anything design wise, logos are my forte. I do everything from logos, business cards, stickers, banners, backdrops. And then as far as the promo items, I do everything promo item, t-shirts, hats, shirts. We got different jackets, promo items. I do like, lanyards, bottle openers, keychains, tumblers, mugs, calendars, like anything you could think of that would be printed and you want your logo on or something that you'd be handing out to different clients. That's what Studio does. And Studio does it good because what we do is we specialize in what it looks like. So even if you had a logo and you wanted it some way, we might make it look a little better for you. Like with your critique and stuff, we'd make sure that everything looks good the best way possible in the product. So that would probably be everything for Studio. Now, if anybody wants to go to the Big Dill, you could check out bigdill.com. And that will give you kind of every rundown of what is with the Big Dill, how to get Big Dill tickets, where we're going to be. Shows a lot of our social media and our Instagram and all that good stuff. And you want to find out about God, all you got to do is close your eyes and ask.
Drop
All you got to
wisdom
do is
right
ask.
there.
Yeah, literally. That's something you just got to ask for that acknowledgement, like, and ask for what it is that you need to be doing and where you need to be and just listen for the answer and you'll hear it. And Journey in Phoenixville is one of if you're in this area, definitely check that out because it's something that you have never experienced before. So it's something that I would definitely recommend.
Awesome, Anthony. Well, hey, man,
Amen.
it's a pleasure having you on Philly Fortune
Of
Talks
course,
today.
brother.
Thanks for tuning in to Philly Fortune Talks with Jake Penny. Inspired to share your success story? Visit phillyfortunetalks.com/guest and let's inspire together.